The Cowboy and the Haunted Apache Widow, a frontier tale. The twin suns of Red Mesa hung low in the sky, painting the desert in shades of orange, pink, and gold. Dust rose in small spirals across the cracked ground, carried by the warm wind that smelled faintly of metal and heat. On the horizon, a lone figure moved steadily, riding a hoverbike that hummed softly beneath him. The vehicle left a faint trail of sparkling dust in its wake. Caleb Stroud was a man of quiet confidence. His wide-brimmed hat shaded sharp, curious eyes that had seen more desert plains than most could imagine. His long coat flapped behind him as the wind picked up. For many years he had wandered from town to town, helping people with problems no one else dared face. Some called him a troubleshooter, others simply a wanderer. Ahead, the small town of Sundown shimmered in the haze. It was the kind of place built on hope and grit, with a single dusty main street lined with solar panel roofs and wooden verandas. The town looked almost empty at first glance, but the faint glow of lanterns and the occasional shadow of a passerby told a different story. Caleb slowed his bike as he entered, adjusting the strap of his satchel across his chest. Inside the satchel were tools, gadgets, and a small notebook filled with sketches of strange things he had seen in his travels. The townsfolk watched silently from their porches, curious about the stranger. Caleb noticed the cautious glances, the small whispers carried on the wind. Sundown was not a town that welcomed outsiders lightly, but something about the air made him feel that he was expected. The moment he dismounted, a sudden shimmer in the distance caught his eye. Beyond the town, on the edge of a canyon, a faint light flickered like a dying star. Caleb squinted against the twin suns and saw a figure standing there, dressed in the flowing garb of an Apache woman. Her hair, dark as night, moved gently in the wind. She seemed to stare directly at him. A strange sensation traveled down Caleb's spine. There was something about her presence that was both haunting and comforting. He adjusted his hat and walked slowly toward the town center. The small general store, with its sliding metal shutters and warm light inside, became his first stop. Inside, the shop smelled of dry goods, metal polish, and faint desert flowers brought from somewhere far away. Caleb placed his satchel on the counter and looked around. "Looking for work?" a voice asked, soft but firm. The voice belonged to an older man with silver hair and kind eyes, though his expression held caution. "Maybe," Caleb replied, his voice calm and even. "I do a little of everything." Fixing, solving, figuring things out. The man nodded slowly. "We might have a need for someone like that. Though it's not the usual kind of work. People talk about strange things happening near the canyon. Lights in the night, whispers in the wind. Some say a spirit wanders there. They call her the Apache Widow." Caleb tilted his head. "Apache Widow?" The man's gaze shifted toward the horizon, toward the flickering light he had seen earlier. "Yes, Naia. She's been seen for years now. Some say she protects the canyon. Others say she warns travelers away. No one really knows. Most people steer clear. Some curiosity seekers never come back." Caleb felt the stirrings of intrigue. He had always been drawn to mysteries, especially ones that carried a mix of danger and wonder. "And have you seen her?" The shopkeeper shrugged. "Only at night, if the wind is right. She never hurts anyone. She just appears. Guides some, frightens others, depends on who she wants to meet." Caleb nodded, pretending to consider it while his mind raced. He had a feeling he would see this Naia soon, whether the townsfolk approved or not. As the sun sank lower, the sky shifted to a deep violet, and the canyon's silhouette darkened like a black scar across the desert. Caleb decided to take a short ride toward the edge, just to see the canyon up close. His hoverbike lifted effortlessly over the uneven ground, humming in harmony with the distant wind. The closer he got, the more he noticed strange patterns along the canyon walls, glimmering streaks of mineral that reflected light in shifting colors, almost as if the rock itself were alive. Then the figure appeared again. Naia stood at the lip of the canyon, motionless, as though she had always been there. When she turned her head slightly, her eyes seemed to glow faintly, reflecting the twin suns. Caleb stopped his bike a few meters away, holding it steady. His heart beat steadily, but a shiver ran down his spine. "You're Caleb Stroud," the figure said. Her voice was soft, carried by the wind. It was the kind of voice that seemed both human and something more, like it belonged to the desert itself. Caleb raised an eyebrow. "I am," he replied cautiously. "And you must be—" "Naia?" She nodded. "Many call me the Apache Widow. I don't wander, but I watch. I see travelers and the paths they take. Some come seeking knowledge, others come for adventure. The canyon has... If you wish to enter, you must understand its ways. Caleb studied her, noticing the mixture of solemnity and warmth in her expression. She was more than a legend. There was an intelligence there, a purpose that went beyond superstition.
I don't mean any harm.
I just want to understand. Naya tilted her head as if measuring his intentions. Intentions are important here. The canyon listens. It records. It judges. If you are ready, come at twilight. But be warned, it is not the canyon itself you must fear. It is the unknown within it. Caleb nodded. He felt a strange sense of anticipation. For a moment he simply watched her, and she seemed to shimmer against the fading sunlight, almost like she was made of light and shadow. Then, as if deciding he had seen enough, she turned and walked along the canyon edge, disappearing into the shadows. The ride back to sundown was quiet. Caleb's mind raced with thoughts of the canyon, of Naya, and of what secrets might lie within. He stopped at the edge of town, watching the first stars appear in the twilight sky. The town seemed smaller now, almost fragile, against the vastness of the desert and the canyon beyond. Later, Caleb walked along the wooden boardwalks of sundown, greeting a few townsfolk along the way. Everyone seemed to sense something unusual, though no one spoke openly. He felt eyes on him from behind curtains and over fences. It was as if the town itself was holding its breath, waiting for what would come next. By nightfall, the twin suns had disappeared completely, leaving a deep blue sky streaked with violet. The canyon became a dark silhouette, but faint glows pulsed along its walls, the same shimmering streaks Caleb had noticed earlier. He made his way to a small inn at the center of town, its sign creaking softly in the desert wind. Inside, the inn smelled of warm bread, herbal tea, and polished wood. A fire flickered in the hearth, casting moving shadows across the room. The innkeeper, a kind-faced woman with silver streaks in her hair, nodded at him. "New in town?" she asked. "Yes," Caleb replied. "Looking to rest, maybe learn more about the canyon." She smiled faintly. "Many come for that. Few return with answers." Caleb simply nodded, taking a seat near the window. He pulled out his notebook, sketching the shapes of the canyon and the glowing streaks he had seen. His hand moved almost unconsciously, guided by curiosity more than intent. Outside, the wind whispered across the desert, carrying faint echoes of movement, as if the canyon itself were speaking. For the rest of the evening, Caleb listened. Every creak of wood, every distant howl of the wind seemed like a message. He could feel that his life was about to change, that sundown and its canyon held more than the town's simple appearance suggested. And somewhere, just beyond the horizon, Naya watched, waiting to see if the wanderer was ready for what lay ahead. As Caleb drifted to sleep that night, he dreamt of light streaking across the canyon walls, of shadows moving in rhythm with his heartbeat, and of a voice whispering in the wind. The canyon chooses those who are ready. Are you ready, Caleb Stroud? The answer, he realized, would come with the first steps into the canyon at dawn. The next morning, the twin suns rose slowly over Red Mesa, casting long shadows across the desert floor. Caleb Stroud mounted his hoverbike and headed toward the canyon, the golden light reflecting off the metal of his vehicle. His heart was steady, though anticipation hummed beneath his calm exterior. Today he would meet Naya properly. Today he would step into the canyon that held the town's most mysterious secret. The path to the canyon was rough, filled with jagged rocks and glowing mineral streaks. Caleb adjusted his hoverbike stabilizers, allowing him to glide smoothly over uneven terrain. The closer he got, the more he noticed strange symbols etched into the canyon walls. They looked like a combination of ancient carvings and glowing circuitry, faintly pulsing in rhythm with the wind. Caleb paused for a moment, tracing the lines with his fingers. There was a strange energy here, one that felt alive but gentle, almost welcoming. He rounded a bend and finally saw her. Naya stood at the canyon's edge, exactly as he had seen her the day before. The wind moved through her dark hair, and her robes shifted as if they were part of the canyon itself. Her eyes glimmered with the faintest light, not from the suns, but from somewhere deeper. She watched him silently, waiting for him to approach. "You've come," she said softly, her voice flowing like the breeze. "I did," Caleb replied, dismounting his bike. "I want to understand. I want to know why the canyon is different. Why people call you the Apache widow." Naya smiled faintly. "Most see me as a spirit. Few see the truth. The canyon is not haunted. It is alive in its own way. It remembers. It holds the secrets of what was lost long before sundown existed." Caleb tilted his head. "Secrets?" "Yes," she said, stepping closer to the glowing canyon walls. There was a starship. It crashed here many years ago. Its technology fused with the canyon. I remain to protect it. The knowledge it holds is powerful, but it is also dangerous, if misunderstood. Caleb studied her. She was not afraid, not hostile, just watchful, like a guardian. And you've been here all this time? I have, she said. I am its keeper. Many call me the Apache widow because of the stories that grew around me. Some feared me, some revered me. Few dared to come close. For a moment, Caleb simply looked at her, trying to imagine living in such isolation. He felt respect for her, and also a spark of curiosity he couldn't resist. Can you show me? He asked quietly. Naya nodded, and together they stepped deeper into the canyon. The walls glowed faintly as they moved, the symbols pulsing softly under their feet. Here and there, crystals grew like flowers, emitting a warm, gentle light. The air smelled faintly of metal and desert flowers, an odd combination that was both strange and comforting. This is part of the starship, Naya explained, pointing toward a section of wall that shimmered with metallic reflections. The ship's AI fused with the canyon when it crashed. Its consciousness is scattered, hidden in these crystals. It remembers everything that happened before, and it can guide those who are ready to listen. Caleb's eyes widened. You mean it's alive? In a way, Naya said. Not alive like humans or animals. But it thinks, it remembers, it observes. It can help if you prove your intentions are good. As they moved deeper, Caleb noticed that the canyon was not silent. Faint whispers drifted through the air, like soft echoes of long-forgotten voices. The light from the crystals shifted, forming shapes and patterns that almost looked like images, though they disappeared before he could understand them fully. The canyon itself seemed aware of their presence, watching, testing, and welcoming at the same time. Naya paused at a small platform, hovering just above the ground. This is the first test, she said. The canyon will ask questions. It wants to see your heart. It wants to know why you are here. Caleb stepped onto the platform. A gentle hum surrounded him, and the glowing crystals pulsed brighter. Images appeared before his eyes, memories from his own past, moments of kindness and courage, moments of doubt and fear. He realized the canyon was not trying to trick him. It simply wanted to understand him. He focused on the intention behind his actions, on why he wandered the frontier and helped others. As he thought, the images shifted, showing him scenes of Naya's life. Her solitude, her care for the canyon, the time she had spent protecting the AI's knowledge. Caleb's heart softened with respect and empathy. You see, Naya said quietly, the canyon does not punish. It listens, it measures, it guides, it tests the spirit of those who come here. If your heart is open, it will reveal itself to you. Caleb nodded. I understand. I only want to learn, to help if I can. The platform glowed warmly beneath his feet, and a soft hum filled the canyon. Crystals around them pulsed in a rhythm that felt like a heartbeat. Then, one crystal broke free from the wall and floated in front of him, spinning slowly. Caleb reached out, and as his fingers touched it, visions filled his mind, not memories of himself, but knowledge of the starship and the worlds it had visited. He saw alien landscapes, strange cities, and skies filled with unfamiliar suns. He felt a sense of wonder and curiosity unlike anything he had experienced before. Naya watched quietly. The AI has deemed you worthy, she said. It trusts you, as I do. But you must remember, knowledge is a responsibility. It is not for power or selfish gain. The canyon will protect itself and the AI from those who cannot respect it. Caleb took a deep breath. I understand. I promise. Together, they moved further into the canyon. The walls opened into a larger chamber, a wide space filled with crystals that shimmered like stars. The air felt charged, humming softly with energy. Caleb marveled at the sight. It was unlike any canyon, any frontier he had ever seen. It was both natural and artificial, both ancient and futuristic. Naya guided him to a small pedestal at the center of the chamber. This is the core, she explained. Here the AI holds its memory. You may ask questions, but be patient. It answers only when it trusts the seeker. Caleb approached the pedestal carefully, placing his hands on the smooth surface. Immediately he felt a connection, a sense of understanding flowing into him. He could sense the history of the starship, the travels it had taken, and the knowledge it carried. It was overwhelming, yet strangely comforting. You are a careful observer, the AI seemed to say. Not with words, but with feelings and images. You seek knowledge without selfishness. You respect the canyon and its guardian. This is rare. Caleb nodded, feeling both humility and excitement. I want to learn. I want to help people understand what's possible without harming anyone or taking more than they need. The crystal pulsed gently, as if acknowledging his words. Around him, the chamber's light shifted, showing glimpses of potential discoveries, inventions, and stories of other worlds. Caleb felt a thrill of possibility. The frontier was bigger than he had imagined, full of wonders that went beyond Red Mesa, beyond the Twin Suns, beyond even the town of Sundown. Naya stepped closer. Many have feared the canyon, she said. They only saw shadows. They only saw what they wanted to believe. Few saw the truth. Today, you have seen it. But this is only the beginning. There is much to learn and much to protect. Caleb looked at her. I want to help. I don't fully understand it yet, but I want to be part of it. Naya nodded. Then you must come often. Watch, listen, and learn. The canyon is patient. It will teach those who are ready. They spent the day exploring smaller passages where glowing plants and strange rock formations formed natural bridges and tunnels. Caleb learned how the canyon responded to touch, to movement, and even to thought. He realized that the canyon itself was a teacher, guiding him gently, without force, revealing its wonders only to those who respected it. As the twin suns began to set, Caleb and Naya returned to the canyon's edge. The sky glowed in warm hues, and the desert below seemed calm, almost peaceful. Caleb's mind was full of images, thoughts, and possibilities. He realized that the canyon was not just a place. It was a living story, a connection between past, present, and future. Will you come back? Naya asked, her eyes reflecting the last light of the suns. I will, Caleb said firmly. There's so much to learn, and I feel like I'm only beginning to understand. Naya smiled, a faint glimmer of warmth touching her face. Then the canyon welcomes you, Caleb Stroud. But remember, the knowledge here is not a gift. It is a responsibility. Respect it, and it will guide you. As he rode back to Sundown under the stars, Caleb felt a sense of purpose he had never known. The town seemed smaller now, yet full of potential. Beyond the canyon lay a universe of secrets, waiting for those brave enough to seek them with open hearts. Somewhere in the shadows, Naya watched over the canyon, her presence a silent promise that the frontier was alive, full of wonder, and ready to reveal its mysteries to those who truly listened. The morning sun stretched its light over Red Mesa, casting soft shadows across the desert and canyon. Caleb Stroud adjusted his wide-brimmed hat and mounted his hover bike, excitement buzzing in his chest. Today he would venture deeper into the canyon than ever before. Today he would see the heart of the Starship ruins and face the challenges that lay within. Naya waited at the canyon's edge, her dark hair catching the sunlight. She looked as calm and mysterious as ever, but there was a quiet intensity in her gaze. Are you ready? She asked. Caleb nodded. I've come this far. I want to understand, to help, and to learn what the canyon wants me to know. She smiled faintly. And follow me. The canyon will test your mind and heart. It does not punish. It only reveals the truth. They moved together, stepping over glowing stones and floating crystal shards. The canyon seemed alive around them. The walls pulsed gently, as if breathing. Light moved along the cracks and crevices, forming patterns that Caleb could almost read, like a language written in glow and shadow. After a short climb, they reached the entrance to the Starship wreck. The metal hull rose from the canyon floor, bent and twisted, yet still shimmering with strange alien energy. Caleb could see the outlines of doors and hallways, and faint holographic images flickered across the surface, like echoes of the ship's past. This is where the trials begin, Naya said. The AI is embedded here. It will ask questions, create puzzles, and show visions. It wants to see your character, your courage, and your compassion. If you succeed, it will reveal knowledge beyond imagination. If not, it will simply withhold its secrets. Caleb felt a mixture of anticipation and nerves. He had faced difficult situations before, but nothing like this. He took a deep breath and stepped into the Starship. Inside, the corridors were strange and beautiful. The walls were metallic but overgrown with glowing desert flora, like the canyon itself had merged with the ship. Holographic projections flickered in and out of existence, showing faint images of crew members going about their daily tasks. Caleb felt a sense of connection, like he was walking through someone else's memories. Naya led him to the first chamber. Here you will face the trial of honesty, she explained. The AI will show you scenes from your past. You must see them without fear and acknowledge what you see. The chamber glowed softly, and a holographic image appeared before Caleb. It showed a moment from his childhood, a time he had lied to protect a friend, thinking it was harmless. The memory was vivid, almost like he was living it again. You must face it, Naya said. Do not turn away. Caleb nodded. He watched, understanding the memory from a new perspective. He realized he had been afraid of consequences, but his intention had been good. He admitted to himself that he had learned from it. The memory shifted, fading gently into the walls. The chamber pulsed warmly, and a door opened to the next trial. This is the trial of courage, Naya said. You must move forward through illusions and uncertainty. Fear will appear, but the canyon only wants to see if you continue despite it. They entered a wide chamber filled with shifting lights and floating platforms. Shadows of strange shapes moved across the walls, shapes that seemed both alive and unreal. Caleb's hoverbike floated just above the ground, allowing him to move carefully across the platforms. The air was filled with soft hums and whispers, creating an atmosphere that tested his focus. A platform ahead wobbled slightly as he stepped on it. Caleb steadied himself, reminding himself that nothing here could harm him physically. The shadows shifted into forms of people he had once doubted or misunderstood. They seemed to question him silently. You face your own fears, Naya said. You cannot fail if you keep moving with honesty and courage. Caleb took a deep breath. He focused on each step, listening to the hum of the canyon and the faint whispers of the AI. Slowly, he made his way across the platforms. When he reached the far side, the shadows dissolved and the chamber glowed warmly. Another door opened. This is the trial of compassion, Naya said. The AI will show you beings in need, places where understanding and kindness are required. Your heart will guide you. In this chamber, Caleb saw holographic scenes of towns and travelers across the frontier. Some were struggling, others were lost or confused. He felt a pull in his chest, a desire to help them. As he focused on empathy and solutions, the images shifted, revealing ways to guide and protect those who were vulnerable. Caleb realized that compassion was not just about action. It was about understanding, patience, and careful attention. The chamber pulsed with light, and the final door opened slowly. Caleb stepped through and found himself in a large central room, the heart of the starship. The walls were covered in glowing crystals, forming patterns that seemed to pulse with intelligence. The air was filled with soft hums, like a heartbeat, and the light danced across the floor and ceiling. This is the AI core, Naya said. It is here that all knowledge is held. You have proven yourself worthy so far, but you must now ask, and it will answer. Be mindful. Knowledge is a responsibility. Caleb approached the core cautiously. A crystal floated toward him, spinning gently. As he touched it, images and information flooded his mind. Maps of planets, histories of civilizations, technologies that seemed impossible, and stories of distant worlds. He felt wonder, awe, and a deep sense of humility. The AI communicated not with words, but through feelings and images. It showed Caleb the beauty of the universe, the fragility of life, and the interconnectedness of all things. It also showed the consequences of misusing knowledge. Chaos, misunderstanding, and harm. Caleb realized the AI was teaching him not just facts, but wisdom. Naya watched him quietly. Many have tried to access the AI and failed because they sought power or fame, she said. You have approached with respect and curiosity. That is why it trusts you. Caleb nodded. I understand. Knowledge is not just for me. It must be shared carefully to help others, not to control them. The AI seemed to acknowledge his words. The crystals glowed brighter, sending beams of light across the chamber. Holographic images of past travelers, explorers, and guardians appeared, as if giving him silent approval. Caleb felt a connection not just to the starship, but to the canyon, Naya, and the frontier itself. This is only the beginning, Naya said. The canyon holds more lessons, more challenges, and more wonders. But today, you have passed the trials it set for you. You have shown honesty, courage, and compassion. You are ready to learn, to explore, and to protect what must be protected. Caleb looked around the chamber. The crystal's light reflected in his eyes, making him feel part of something much larger than himself. He realized that the frontier was not just a place of dust and sun, but a gateway to knowledge and adventure, a place where the past, present, and future could meet. As they left the core chamber, Caleb felt a new confidence. He had faced illusions, memories, and challenges, and had come through with understanding. He looked at Naya, feeling respect, admiration, and a sense of partnership. "The canyon is alive," Caleb said quietly. "It tests, it teaches, and it protects. I feel like I've only just begun to understand it." Naya nodded. "And you will continue to learn, Caleb Stroud. The canyon will guide you as long as your heart remains open and your intentions true." They moved toward the canyon's exit, the glow of crystals fading as the daylight grew stronger. The wind whispered around them, carrying echoes of the canyon's heartbeat. Caleb felt a connection to the land, the starship, and the guardian who had chosen to protect it. When they emerged into the open desert, the town of Sundown appeared in the distance. Caleb looked back at the canyon, its secrets still hidden in the shadows, its lessons still waiting. He knew that he had only scratched the surface, but he also knew he had proven himself capable of understanding and respecting what he had found. Naya stood beside him, her eyes reflecting the sunlight. "The frontier is full of mysteries," she said. "You have learned one of its greatest today, but remember, Caleb, every answer leads to more questions. Knowledge is a path, not a destination." Caleb nodded. "I will remember, and I will return." As they rode back towards sundown, the desert stretched endlessly before them, a world of possibilities waiting to be discovered. The canyon hummed behind them, alive and patient, ready to reveal more to those who dared to enter with honesty, courage, and compassion. And for the first time in a long while, Caleb Stroud felt a sense of belonging, not just to a town or a desert or even a canyon, but to something greater, something alive and full of promise. The canyon was quiet that morning, bathed in the gentle glow of Red Mesa's twin suns. Caleb Stroud adjusted his hat and looked toward the distant cliffs, where the glowing crystals of the starship ruins pulsed faintly, like the heartbeat of the land itself. He felt a sense of purpose now, one he had never known before. The trials of the canyon, the whispers of the AI, and the guidance of Naya had changed him. Naya stood beside him, her dark hair catching the sunlight, her eyes calm but filled with wisdom. "You have learned much," she said softly, "but knowledge is not enough. You must decide how to use what you have seen. The frontier is ready for change, but only if it is guided with care." Caleb nodded. "I understand. The AI's knowledge is powerful. I can't let it fall into the wrong hands. But I also can't keep it hidden forever. People deserve to learn, to grow, to understand what the frontier truly holds." Naya smiled faintly. "Then you must find the balance. The AI can help, but it must be shared carefully. Knowledge is a responsibility, not a reward." They rode together towards sundown, the desert wind carrying the faint hum of the canyon behind them. As they entered the town, curious townsfolk emerged from their homes, watching the pair with cautious eyes. Caleb could see the whispers in their faces, the fear of the unknown, the curiosity, and the hope that someone brave enough had returned from the canyon. He dismounted his hoverbike and turned to the crowd. "People of Sundown," he began, his voice steady but calm, "I have seen the canyon's secrets. I have met Naya, the so-called Apache widow. She is not a ghost, not a spirit meant to frighten you. She is a guardian. In the canyon, it is alive. It holds knowledge from a starship that crashed here long ago, knowledge that can help us understand the frontier and the universe beyond." The crowd was silent. Some faces were filled with skepticism, others with wonder. Caleb continued, "This knowledge is not for power or wealth or fame. It is for learning, for understanding, and for helping our people grow safely. Naya and I will guide it carefully so that it does not harm anyone." A hush fell over the town. Then, slowly, people began to nod, some with cautious smiles. Caleb could feel the weight of their trust pressing on him, a responsibility heavier than any he had carried before. Naya stepped forward, her presence calm and strong. "Many feared the canyon," she said. "They told stories to keep people away. But fear is not the way. Understanding, respect, and care are. The canyon is alive, yes, but it chooses who it allows to see its heart. Caleb has proven himself, and now you may begin to learn too." For the next several days, Caleb and Naya worked with the town. They guided small groups into safe areas of the canyon, teaching them to observe, listen, and learn without disturbing the AI or the crystals. Children marveled at the glowing flora, elders studied the symbols etched into the canyon walls, and travelers from distant settlements came to witness the strange, beautiful fusion of desert and starship. Caleb discovered a rhythm to the work. Each visit, each lesson, was a step toward a future where sundown and the surrounding frontier could thrive. He felt proud, not for himself, but for the people learning to understand the canyon's wonders. One afternoon, as the twin suns dipped low, Caleb and Naya stood at the canyon's edge, watching the sky turn orange and pink. A gentle wind rustled through the crystals, carrying a soft hum that felt like a greeting. "You have changed the town," Naya said, her voice quiet. "People are beginning to see the canyon not as a place of fear, but as a place of wonder. They are learning. They are growing. And you have changed too." Caleb smiled faintly. "I've learned that knowledge is more than facts. It's understanding and respect and patience. The canyon, it has taught me more than I ever expected. And you've taught me too, Naya. About guardianship, about care, about seeing the truth even when others are afraid." Naya's eyes reflected the light of the setting suns. "And you have chosen well, Caleb. There are many who would misuse what the canyon holds. But you have shown honesty, courage, and compassion. That is why it trusts you, and why I trust you." The two of them remained in silence for a while, watching as the desert shifted in colors, as the wind danced across the canyon, and as the town of sundown glimmered in the distance. Caleb felt a sense of belonging he had never known. He was not just a wanderer anymore, he was part of something larger, something alive, something that mattered. As night fell, Caleb and Naya prepared a small gathering for the townsfolk. Lanterns were lit, casting soft golden light across the square. People gathered, eager but respectful, to hear the stories of the canyon and the starship. Caleb spoke of what he had learned, not just facts, but lessons. About patience, observation, empathy, and responsibility. About listening to the land and respecting the unknown. Naya spoke too, her voice calm and wise, explaining how the canyon had been misunderstood, how fear had turned her into a legend, and how the frontier could embrace wonder without losing caution. The townsfolk listened in rapt attention. The atmosphere was filled with hope, curiosity, and a quiet excitement. For the first time in many years, Sundown felt like a town connected to the wider universe, a place where dreams and knowledge could meet. As the night deepened, Caleb stepped aside, looking toward the canyon. The crystals pulsed softly in the moonlight, a reminder that the land was alive, patient, and eternal. He felt gratitude, not just for what he had learned, but for what he could now share. The frontier was bigger than Sundown, bigger than Red Mesa, bigger than any single person. And yet, with careful guidance, understanding, and respect, it could be a place of wonder and growth. Naya came to his side, her presence steady and comforting. "Will you continue to return?" she asked. "I will," Caleb said. "I want to learn more, to help more, and to ensure the canyon's secrets are used wisely. This is only the beginning." She nodded. "Then the canyon will always welcome you. And so will I." In the following weeks, Sundown began to change. People approached the canyon with care, guided by Caleb and Naya. Small gardens of glowing plants were nurtured along the edges, and children learned to respect the crystals and symbols. Travelers brought stories of distant worlds, adding to the town's growing sense of connection to something greater. Sundown became a hub of curiosity, learning, and cautious wonder. Caleb continued his daily routines, riding his hoverbike across the desert, observing, listening, and learning. But now, he did not feel alone. Naya's presence, the canyon's guidance, and the town's trust gave him a sense of purpose. Each day was a new adventure, a new chance to learn, to teach, and to protect. One evening, as the twin suns set and the sky turned a deep purple, Caleb and Naya stood at the canyon's edge once more. The air was calm, the desert quiet, and the canyon pulsed softly with its hidden energy. "You have done well, Caleb," Naya said. "The frontier is safer, wiser, and more hopeful because of your choices. But remember, learning never ends. Knowledge is a path, not a destination." Caleb nodded. "I understand. And I will keep walking that path, with care and respect. I've learned that even the smallest choices can shape the future." As they watched the desert stretch endlessly before them, Caleb felt a deep peace. The frontier was alive, full of wonders, and now it was a place where people could grow without fear. The canyon's mysteries were no longer hidden by legend or superstition, but respected and understood by those who were ready. And for the first time in his life, Caleb Stroud felt that he had found a home. Not a single town, not a single canyon, but a frontier alive with possibility, wonder, and hope. The twin suns disappeared behind the horizon, leaving a sky full of stars. The canyon pulsed softly in the moonlight, the crystals glowing like 1,000 tiny lanterns. Caleb and Naya turned back toward Sundown, their hearts light, their minds full of knowledge, and their spirits ready for the next adventure. The legend of the Apache widow had changed from a tale of fear to a story of guardianship, understanding, and hope. And Caleb Stroud had become part of that story, a bridge between the known and the unknown, between the frontier of yesterday and the universe of tomorrow. The canyon waited, patient and eternal, ready to reveal more secrets to those who approached it with honesty, courage, and compassion. And the frontier, alive and full of promise, had been reborn.